Alright guys, Tony here at Old Man Wrenching. Tonight I thought I would demonstrate a little bit about how all these boards work together with virtual pinball to kind of pull this off. So if I look down here at some of my drop targets, I've got this 3-bank target right here. If I punch one of them down like that, and I come up here, this is the DOF configuration tester. DOF has all the ports that are on the Cleveland software design board. You have to define them, and that's a trick in itself. I'll try and get into that. But once you have them configured, they show up in the DOF configuration tester. And in my case, my pin 1, everything has an 11 next to it. But the one we're interested in right now is 1105. And you can see here there's an activate and a pulse. You click activate and it's going to lock the coil on, which isn't really what I want to do in this case. I want to pulse it. And the pulse duration is also configured inside of the DOF configuration files. I think I'm probably just use the default. I'm not sure that I altered that at all. But I'll just show you what happens when I click pulse. There's our drop target that's down. I'm going to click the pulse on the tester, and there you have it. I'll show you the kind of the document that I've gotten, that I've made up. So this is kind of just a rough outline of what the Cleveland board, the way it's arranged. And these are representing the output ports, plugs that are on the board. So in this case, we're operating the Moto Bank drop targets. That's on number 5. And then if you noticed up here in the DOF configurator, we're dealing with 1105. And so basically that's, I'm not sure why it does it, but when I ran the DOF configurator, it gave it a number of 11. So mine is 11 and in port 505. And that's the way you address all of them. I'll show you another, my little party piece here. So I was talking about my my lift mech, and I know that he's on 1113 and 1114. And for that case, I am going to use activate. And then when I hit activate, and the reason why I'm using activate as opposed to pulse in this case, pulse just sends it a quick amount of voltage, and that's enough to kick a drop target up with no problem at all. If you're using DOF, just to make solenoid sounds in your cabinet, you're probably using a lot of pulse. Like when you're doing the flippers and stuff, it's going to send a pulse signal, so you get that click, 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 click. In this case, I'm wanting to drive a lift motor, so I'm using activate. And the lift motor has its own limit switches built in. So once it reaches the top, it's going to hit the limit switch. It's going to shut off anyway. But code-wise, inside of Virtual Pinball, I'm having to send a code to say, hey, turn this on, and then wait for a time, and then turn it back off. And I just have to make sure that the window is large enough to keep this on, and it doesn't cut it off before it reaches the limit switch. So, and that's the way all the drop targets and the motors work. Let me put the lift back down. And there you go. Now, one thing you do have to do also is you've got to mess with VPM keys. Every switch has a number. So in the case of, let's say, let's just look at like one of these targets here. Like if I look at Lena, just this is simple target right there. When that gets clicked, it's sending a code from the key whiz. First, the connection, electrical connection, goes to the key whiz. The key whiz says, "Hey, this has been pressed," and the key whiz has its own definitions on, and I can show that to you real quick too. All right, so here's our this is our key whiz utility, and I'm just going to go into the test mode right there. And now when I come down here and I click on Lena, where is she at? There she is right there. I'm going to click on that, and watch up here. You'll see it's sending a W. So that is the key. Like if you were playing virtual pinball and you hit W, that would do the same thing as scoring the target. You know, you don't normally program those kinds of things in virtual pinball. You program stuff like, I want to flip my flipper. So my right flipper is this shift key, and this one over here is this other shift key. But you know, all the other keys also have functions like, you know, you're going to add a coin, start a game, those kinds of functions, which I do not overwrite, because then it would make it impossible for me to really start a game. So we know that we have a W, right? That's our Lena key. And I have this all documented as well, so that I mean, this is one of the biggest complexities of the entire system, is getting these keys to work. All right, so if we look up here on our chart, this is VPM keys, by the way. That's the configuration file for virtual pinball. And so if we look at W, we see that's the Lena target, and 17 is a key code. You're going to use the 17 inside of your visual pinball script. So anytime, and I'll show that real quick too. So this is the inside the Bubblegum Crisis virtual pinball script. And what I have, if you take a look, all these key codes, right? Those are getting codes from the key whiz. All right, so Lena targ is here. The key code is 17. We say Lena targ is hit. And then what that does, then we look at our script. You can see right here, this is what happens when the Lena target gets hit. There's all kinds of events and stuff. But that's how it's done. Let's close that out. And you see that's the virtual pinball table. If I hit play, all right. And this is going to be covered up at the next show. I'm actually going to have my my back glass file up there instead of this, because this was confusing the heck out of everybody. Nobody was getting it. So, and then this is what the table itself is looking right now. Right. So that's my track mode basically. I'm missing I have a video that plays when it's in a track mode. I've got it turned off right now because I don't want to get into copyright or any of that. And then it was also distracting me from my testing. So I hit 1 on my keyboard. It's going to be my coin in. I've still got to wire a button for that, but it's not there yet. All right, so there's a 1. You heard the kick. You saw the ball eject up there. Well, the kicker noise was the kicker kicking here, but I don't have any balls loaded right now. All right, so let's just take a look real quick. We hit our Lena target, and we get our pup event is playing here, and then we now have a level 1 Lena. Click it again. All right, so Lena's powered up to level 2, and that is true. We'll go another one. All right, there's There's Lena level power 3. And now you see I've got a flasher going. In other words, there's a kick a hole down there, so you want to get the ball in that. And if you do that, then you will light up the character target, and that means that the Lena is fully active. And the ball is going to remain locked once you get it in there. All 4 of these are ball locks. So you can have up to 5 ball multi-ball, I think. That's what I'm looking at. All right, and so let's take a look at, we've got press. We hit press. She's putting her armor on. Not all of these pup images are done. You notice how Lena had different levels displayed, whereas I don't have the text yet on these. But you can see how it works. And we've got Nene too. Click Nene. Nene. I'll do another one. Let's see. Nene. And then we got Mackie. Doc is programmed. Let's take a look at Doc. There's Doc. So yeah, that's and this is what she's starting to look like when she's lit up. So anyway, I'm shooting for Southern Fried 2026, and hopefully I'll see you there and you can take it for a test drive. Catch you later. Bye.